very much. My name is Ken Weagle, and I'm a director of Cochrane Ecological Institute. If you're curious about my shirt, my Blackfoot name is Sacred Buffalo Bill. Bull. I would have to get, not Sacred Buffalo Bill. I'd have to get Dan to give you the name in Blackfoot. I'm afraid it's beyond my pronunciation. But my wife and I were honored for the Blackfoot several years ago when we were given our Blackfoot names. I've been asked by Lisa to make some opening remarks, and that's what you're going to get. And they're going to be decent, really. Anyway, first of all, I would like to give a massive thank you to Lisa and her army of volunteers who've taken over the organization and running of this conference from Cleo and I. We've known Lisa since she was 16, and I was going to put up a picture of her doing mudding on the inside of our interpretive center, but I thought that was too much when she was 16 and worked for us on a summer program. I'd also like to thank the Calgary Foundation for their support of the symposium. We, Cleo and I, and our volunteers did not fully think it through when it all began 4 years ago. It has turned into a very informative event, which was our intention. Presenting new concepts and some old concepts in a new way, a way that could be understood by all. We didn't design it for scientists. We want scientists here because they're the people who hold a lot of the clues. But it's designed for people, it's designed for the people in the communities. We try to point out workable options on complex environmental issues so people can see that there can be a future. For the last few years, we've been bombarded, and when I say we, I mean everybody, with considerable amounts of doom and gloom, but very, very few solutions. And we've just been through a federal election campaign, and I think you all know what I mean. A lot, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but no real solutions were presented. When solutions are presented, they're usually not analyzed, but trashed by some. And the trashing, in many, if not most cases, is done with limited knowledge of the topic and virtually no research. This inevitably leads to more and more and more polarization. We try to give everybody an opportunity to be better informed, believe me. And all sides of the spectrum. Everybody talks about left and right, the alt-left or the alt-right. I don't know what they're talking about. Everybody got a name for some group that doesn't agree with them. But everybody has a point. And all sides are guilty of the trashing and not presenting options, but just criticizing. It makes both Cleo and I angry, and it makes us sad at the same time. So what do? We work in a small bubble. Cleo and I and Cochrane Ecological Institute feel we work in a small bubble on the far side of reality. People who visit us, I'm sure they go away, some of them say, hey, those two old hippies don't know what they're doing. Some of them go away and say, God, they're trying. And many people, I think, just go away confused about why we keep doing what we're doing. You know what Einstein said? If you do things over and over again and get the same result, you're an idiot. Sort of. Anyway, I thought I'd try to outline this morning very quickly how Cleo and I try to make decisions, because I think if our concept works, And I'd like to share it with you. First, we try, when we come up against a problem or we come up against a new project or something we want to do, we try to inform ourselves on the issue before we talk about it as if we're an expert. Information. We search out people, we search out everything, and we don't search everybody out, or everything out from the same side of the equation. That's one. Two, and I'm going to give you a quote from a very, very ancient document. If you know your enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Basically, this is from Sun Tzu, The Art of War. And it was written millennia ago in China. To CEI, this means don't just talk to the converted. Listen to everyone. Really listen to everyone. Third thing we try to do is we try to plan our approach to the problem in as careful a detail as you can. Evaluate every result you think you attain, no matter how small, and you adjust your activities to reflect your findings. It's a, you know, you really have to do that. I got a letter from the minister today. What did that mean? Was it good? Was it bad? How do I react? And you really have to think about what you're going to do. Finally, don't give up until the work is done. We can all remember various world leaders standing up and saying, we have finished off Iraq. We have finished off ISIS. We have done this. We have done that. Well, they haven't. And you have to, the important thing is you've got to know what your final, what you're aiming for. You can't give up until the work is done. You have to have a workable endpoint. You know, getting our permit to rehab black bears, again, after 10 years of not having it, wasn't the end result. The end result was keeping that permit and having it done year after year after year after year. And we have failed so far. We've not accomplished our aim. So that is the final thing. And it also, like I say, this also means you have to know when the work is done. And you have to be very brave to admit to yourself that I'm not there yet. These 4 guidelines that we use, and I'm sorry one of them was more or less a military guideline, but Cleo's father was a brigadier in the Indian Army, so we're influenced by that a bit. But you have to approach things as if everything is a bit of a battle. You don't have to fight them with aggression, but you have to fight them with determination. You have to do things with determination. But this approach has resulted for a few wins for CEI, and hopefully will help us all make the correct decisions in the coming years, which, by the way, are not going to be easy. And I don't mean politically, I don't mean financially, but everything. They're going to be mentally stressful. We all know that. And you have to accept that. So it isn't good, but you can get through it if you plan and if you really, really look for information. At CEI, we also tried to work towards our slogan, where ideas become reality. And I have to tell you an extremely funny story. Well, I thought it was funny. I don't think Cleo did. Anyway, I came up with the slogan, where ideas become reality, for CEI, probably when we met Peter and Cochrane in 1993. And I thought, wow, is that ever clever? That is really, really good. And we've been using it ever since, and it's always in the web page and the Facebook page and on the letterhead and God knows what. About 2 years ago, we're sitting in the office one day working on something, and Cleo turns around, looks at me and says, "Oh, I get it." I said, "You get what?" "Oh," she said, "I get where ideas become reality." And I thought, oh dear. How many people don't get the point of what we try to do? But we try to do. We try to take an idea, we try to develop it, and then we try to make it happen. And that is where that idea will become reality. And I hoped I gave you some hints as how we do it. And we will continue to do it until we can't do it anymore. Good friend of mine in Alaska, dog team driver. And I said, "Earl, when are you going to give up?" Now, Earl was about this high. He was 80 years old. He had arthritis that was devastating. And I said, "When are you going to give it up, Earl?" He said, "When I can't hold on to the sled anymore." And basically, that's what you have to do. You got to keep working. You got to keep your principles, but you have to be informed. And hopefully, you've come today to help us become informed. And hopefully, when you leave today, you will be more informed. Thank you for participating. And where is she? Over to Lisa.